Since the character of Ironheart debuted in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, Disney and Marvel have been insistent on trying to push her to the general public, so much so that they actually announced that she's going to be getting her own series for Disney+. However, since the initial announcement, the series has been plagued with many setbacks and delays, so much so that many people, including myself, thought that they were just going to cancel the show outright. Turns out that's not the case. They're insisting on continuing on with Riri Williams as Ironheart because I guess they have plans for her in the future of the MCU, so they need to continue along this line. And now it looks like there's an act of desperation on Marvel's part because they understand that even characters that should ordinarily do pretty well for them haven't really been performing either on Disney Plus or at the box office. So they're pulling out what I think are desperate measures in order to try to get people excited about this character that no one really cares about. Marvel uses Robert Downey Jr. to sell Ironheart ahead of Disney Plus release. Explains why Riri is more remarkable than Tony Stark, and I think that's kind of a ridiculous claim to say that she's more remarkable than Tony Stark, but whatever, it is what it is. It's a matter of opinion. But this whole thing I wanted to really talk about was the using Robert Downey Jr. in order to try to sell this character to the general public because, like I said, it feels like an act of desperation, and I really don't think it's going to work out too well for them. Marvel is invoking the name of Robert Downey Jr. in an attempt to justify its upcoming Ironheart series. Marvel's Ironheart is gearing up to close out Phase 5 of the MCU on Disney+, and the studio appears to be going into full damage control mode ahead of the premiere, despite fans still scratching their heads over her inclusion in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Marvel is now rolling out legacy name drop, strategic comparisons, and emotional appeal in a thinly veiled attempt to build hype and legitimacy for a show that few asked for. And I can't emphasize this enough. Few people did actually ask for this. She was not a popular character in the comics. She doesn't seem like a big draw in the MCU. Like I said, she first debuted in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and it's not like there was a lot of hype around her, even at the time that the movie came out. But since then, really no one has been talking about her outside of the fact that this is something that Marvel continues on trying to push. Spiritual successor with no actual link, and a new feature with Empire. Dominique Thorne, who plays Riri Williams / Ironheart, recounted her brief encounter with Robert Downey Jr., describing the interaction as an exciting exchange where the actor gave her a few words of encouragement and literally 2 thumbs up. The story is being framed by Marvel as some kind of symbolic torch passing moment, with articles declaring Riri and Tony Stark to be spiritually linked in the MCU. Now, let me just put a pause on this for a second here. This isn't actually Robert Downey Jr. coming forward and making a statement or anything like that. This is literally just her saying that he gave her support, which I could even believe that may have been the case because, I mean, if you think about it, they're essentially just work colleagues. They both work for the MCU. He was brought back in to play Doctor Doom in Avengers Doomsday. So I can see they had some slight interaction and he says something nice to her in that exchange and says like, oh yeah, have some words of encouragement, which said 2 thumbs up. Not sure what that means. Like, oh yeah, you're going to do a good job in that, and just kind of leave it at that. Maybe that happened. Like I said, like I could believe that was the case because that's just kind of the polite thing to do. I don't think this is necessarily him giving the endorsement of her taking over the character, at least not in the way that they're trying to frame it as, because it's obvious a lot of people are not happy with her inclusion. They would rather have Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark in the MCU, as opposed to Riri Williams as Ironheart within the MCU. But, you know, I mean, they're going to do what they're going to do, so they're going to try to frame it in a way that seems positive to the fan base, because a lot of people might look at this and be like, well, if Robert Downey Jr. thinks that she's going to do a good job as the character, then maybe I should check it out. At least I think that's what Disney thinks is going to happen. Like I said before, I don't think many people actually care about this one way or the other. I think if anything, there's probably a little bit more negative sentiment towards it, because it really does just scream as a race and gender swap Tony Stark, because, you know, Disney's going to do what they're going to do. Tony Stark died in Avengers Endgame before Riri Williams was even introduced. They never met. They have no shared screen time, no storyline overlap, and no established relationship in the films. Calling them spiritually connected is pure marketing spin. That's 100% true. A way for Marvel to claim legacy without earning it. It's also a way to reassure fans that Iron Man approves of his replacement, even though that replacement is arriving with little of the narrative weight that made Stark iconic. Yeah, that's 100% true on this one. But let's just say Robert Downey Jr. actually does come forward and make some statement, or there's like some event where there, some Ironheart related event, and Robert Downey Jr. comes out to introduce Dominique Thorne, who plays Riri Williams, Ironheart in the MCU. If he like introduced her and like kind of did like a more official like passing of the torch, so to speak, if they did something like that, would that seem genuine, or would it just seem like Robert Downey Jr. fulfilling some contractual obligation? Because no matter what they try to do with this or how they try to spin it, it's always just going to seem like a forced attempt by Marvel in order to get people excited about a show that no one is excited about. Then there's the quote that's raising eyebrows. Thorne compared her character's background with Tony Stark's. She's dumpster diving, whereas Tony Stark was this bajillionaire. What she's able to accomplish is remarkable. And I think that's just kind of her speaking off the cuff. I don't really put a whole lot of weight in it. I understand what she's trying to say here. I mean, basically just saying like she's remarkable in that she doesn't have all these resources available. She's just kind of like she has a dumpster diver figuring this stuff out. Whereas Tony Stark had a bunch of resources available. Of course, this article even points out that it ignores the origins of Iron Man, which in the first movie, he was basically doing exactly that, just kind of building his first Iron Man suit with a bunch of scraps and stuff like that he found. I mean, even Obadiah saying like that famous line, Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps. I mean, that's kind of where he started. Now, granted, that was the first version of the suit, and it was obviously a lot more rugged than in less polished than some of his future ones when he had all of his resources available, but still he was pretty remarkable. At least the character was remarkable and what he was able to accomplish, especially seeing as he was literally the only person in the world who can actually build that stuff, or at least it was at the time until they started introducing like Wakanda and their essentially magic technology. At first glance, it's meant to emphasize Riri's resourcefulness, but dig a little deeper, and it reads like an unnecessary and frankly dismissive contrast. Stark's origin story didn't begin in the Manhattan skyscraper. Okay, so I already talked about that. Riri Williams' original appearance in Wakanda Forever was widely viewed as forced, with many critics and fans noting that her inclusion felt like a Disney Plus backdoor pilot, which is exactly what it was. More than a natural fit for the story. Now her standalone series is being marketed with borrowed nostalgia, legacy hand-me-downs, and vague platitudes. And with all this, I don't think it's really going to help out for them too much because, as I said at the start of this video, Marvel's been trying to almost win back their audience for the last couple of years. And while they've seen some successes, even recent entries like Thunderbolts, for instance, is something that audiences seem to really enjoy, but it's not enough, or at least it doesn't seem like it's going to be enough to bring back a sizable enough audience for them to be successful at the box office. Maybe the audience reaction to Thunderbolts will be something that people are like, okay, well, I'm not going to say Marvel is necessarily back just yet, but maybe I'm more inclined to actually give them a shot knowing that they can produce stuff that's enjoyable moving forward. And maybe there's going to be people more inclined to check out Ironheart as a result of all this, but I really don't think it's going to work out too well for them because people have shown time and time again that their Disney Plus shows just aren't really there for general audiences. They're more for the hardcore Marvel fans who just like everything Marvel related and are going to consume everything Marvel related. I think that audience is there for it regardless of whether they're doing this symbolic torch passing or anything like that. I don't think it's going to be enough to bring in people who are otherwise skeptical or people who are usually not interested in watching the Disney Plus Marvel content that they've been pushing out. But I could be wrong about this, and maybe the show is going to be successful. But if it is, I don't think it's because of this supposed Robert Downey Jr. endorsement. But let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. And also, if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with the latest entertainment news. And don't forget to click that like button and share this video out there because it really helps out with the channel. Thank you.